Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So a new addition to my fleet, I went ahead and bought the ToLiss A330neo. I took advantage of the sale over the Easter holidays. So today's flight is from here in Oslo. We're heading down to Palma de Mallorca. Okay, so here we are in the flight deck. A few initial actions then. I'm just going to switch the emergency exit lights to the arm position and just make sure that either nav and logo is in position 1 or 2. The previous crew left us with 7.5 tons. For our trip today we need 22 tons. So I've used the slider here to select 22 tons and we'll go ahead and click on slow refuel. Also note our zero fuel weight, which is 355 passengers, giving us a zero fuel weight of 170 tons. Just apply that. In case you don't know, you can actually click on these figures here and you can type in the numbers should you wish to do so in place of using the slider. So refueling is in progress and you can see the fuel quantity is increasing. Good sign, right? I do use X camera, as I'm sure that you're aware from previous streams. I don't always talk about X camera, but I've created the views, tried to stick to the names that I normally use. So this is like if I'm flying in the Flight Factor 777, I've also got one for the EFB here. So I'm going to go over to the checklists. Now you can actually configure these yourself. The main thing is do not type over the one that's provided with the aircraft. There's an actual file that you create and then it will read the file instead of the inbuilt one. So sim stuff, this is just for my own benefit, of course that is working, otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear the past 2 minutes and 45 seconds of this. Just listening to the ATIS, that's what I've already written down. So I'm using say intentions for the ATC. I've set the QNH set to 1024. And again using my created cockpit preparation checklist, they're all done. So I've just flicked over to the clearance frequency, and I often find it's certainly good practice to call for clearance just before you go ahead putting in the SIDS and stars, etc. Well, certainly the SIDS. Delivery, good afternoon, it's Viking 1564. We have information whiskey. IFR clearance to Palma de Mallorca. I do hear a lot of people say we have whiskey, so they'd say we have whiskey on board now. If you said that, you might get arrested for obvious reasons. However, do you say we have information whiskey on board, or do you just say we have information whiskey? I don't think it makes a big difference. Okay, they are working on that clearance for us. Hit pause. So,
Viking 1564, Oslo clearance information whiskey is current.
Yes.
Cleared to Palma via the VPA 1 Alpha departure, then as filed. Departure runway 01 left. Initial climb to 4,000 feet. Departure on 118.475 squawk 2641.
Cleared to Palma via the VPA 1 Alpha departure, then as filed. Departure runway 01 left. Initial climb to 4,000 feet. Departures on 118.475 squawk 2641 for Viking 1564. Hopefully they will tell us read that correct. And then we'll just flick over to ground.
Viking 1564, read back correct. Ground will be on 121.905.
And 121.905 for Viking 1564. Good afternoon. And this is good practice as well for if you're going on VATSIM. So if you were on VATSIM, you'd want to write down your frequencies as well, just in case you got in a position whereby your workload increased, you wanted a quick reference, you don't want to be flicking over 1, 2, 3 monitors, however many you've got. Just have it written down on a piece of paper. Old school, works best. So we'll go over to ground and switch on the IRSs. Ideally I would have done that before I asked for clearance as well, but we'll go and to the init page then. Click on init request. That's going to start populating there, hopefully with the flight number of Viking 1564. It's looking promising. Flight number, note the PAX number as well. Now I was reading something on the forums the other day where this is important for the air conditioning system that it uses this figure. I'll try and dig out the information. IRS in it, let's just make sure there that everything is aligning on the GPS and click return. Over to the flight plan page, departure 01 left and VPAR 1 Alpha. Just insert that, and I'm just going to make sure that there's no other discontinuities now. I'd often hit pause here, wouldn't I, and just do this offline, so no real need to do that. It's important that you see this stuff. A few step climbs in there. Probably won't be here for that. I'm going to go out and get my haircut. Lunik is the last one, so while I'm out and about later, I'll just have a look at where Lunik is and just make sure that aligns with a star and just kind of start preparing for that while I'm waiting for a hairdresser. Now, if you want any radnavs, go ahead and tune those in, and then we're going to go back to init, this time to init B. Review these figures here. You can see we've got a negative on there, so I'm just going to hit pause, just investigate that. What I will do first is just load the winds, so that can sometimes be a factor. We are expecting a trip time of just over 3 hours, so hopefully there's nothing major there going on. Fixed. Note the addition of an extra ton of fuel there. There's no shame in going back, run a sim. Just do what you need to do. By the time you watch this video, hopefully you're still with me at this point. By the time you watch this video, there'll be one of those strap lines that go across saying he's off on one already. I'm not, but on the forums recently there was somebody who said, "Why do I suddenly run out of fuel when I fly this route?" And we went into it and we was talking about things like zero fuel weights and the fuel load. Don't understand what you mean. But you're flying a 737 on a 4-hour route, so you know, if that understanding's not there, great, we'll help them, but don't blame your tools, folks. It's going to sound wrong, isn't it? The tools that you've got now, use them on the ground. Fuel on the ground is expensive, fuel in the air is priceless. So, and also one thing that we probably don't kind of benefit from as what pilots do in the real world is that consistency that you get when you fly one airframe. So for example, I've flown this on about five flights so far, probably around 2 hours or so. For a 2-hour flight, I think I took 19 tons of fuel. So what's my thought process already when I'm looking at the load sheet and I see that SimBrief has spat out 22. This is a 330, it's going to burn more than like 4 tons an hour, isn't it? So kind of start joining the dots, folks, and if it feels wrong, it probably is, don't accept it. But I'm happy with those. As they said on the ToLiss forums, as one of the authors said, go with this over SimBrief that you've got. And in other videos I've actually used this without SimBrief to tell me how much fuel to load, and the flight's gone well. To the perf page, uplink, and with winds being light and variable, I'll just put in there well, they're not actually, although they are now about 5 knots at 45 degrees, so that can go in there. Verify that your QNH is correct. Anything in blue, you remember you can change that. In green, you can't change it. Takeoff weight is now reflecting the new fuel figure that we've got, so that's what we'd expect, 193 tons. Request your figures. So when we push back, we're going to go tail left, nose right. So we've now got some figures. That's why it says takeoff data received. And we should go for, we can either choose a toga. This is a bit like the 340, whereas for a toga it gives you flat 3, and for a flex it'll give you flat 1. So a flex or light enough. No other reasons to do a toga. Progress page, and I put in there the ICAO code, and we're going to be landing on 24 left as well, so just slap that in there and just verify. That's another way of verifying your expected distance. I check a lot because I've been there, I've made those mistakes. What do we do next? You know this stuff. Secondary flight plan. Just make a copy of the active and then put it on the perf page. Right, let's see how they get in on them with loading the passengers. Still coming on board. Just time to sort this out then. So we've been given our initial altitude of 4,000. I'm not going to arm the flight directors yet until the IRSs are aligned. They're nearly aligned. Here it goes, it's all coming to life there. And then when we do on the flight directors, you'll note that the dots there, the dotted line on the route changes to a solid line. That's when you arm one or more flight directors. Bing, both armed. And on the PFD, we've now got one FD2. Getting close then to push and to our departure slot, so passengers just, final numbers are just coming on board. So we'll start the APU. The no PEDS goes on, as does the seatbelt sign. We're not being refueled anymore, so we can pop that on. Leave those, of course, off. And APU bleed on. And then as soon as the APU starts, bleed air is immediately available. Disconnect the external power. Okay, so just switched off the external power, and I'll use this menu this time. We'll use the ISCS from here, so ground services, and both of those off. Just verify the parking brake set and that your accumulator is showing pressure there to pressure the brakes, pressurize the brakes, and chocks can be removed as well. Hello ground, Viking 1564, request push and start.
1564, push and start approved, face south.
Push and start approved, face south for Viking 1564, thanks. Beacon light on. So before start check. Off we go. Okay, both have started. I bought the Mango Studio sound pack as well for the 330. Right, so we've both started. We can now switch off the APU bleed, master switch. Let's do config 1, ignition back to norm, and put the prediction wind shear on now. Trim, that's going to be 2.6 there. 2.6 is set, auto brakes to max. and then we'll just do a flight control check.
Has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
That's checked. You can't park there, mate. Right, after start checklist, anti-ice, nose wheel steering, ECAM status, and the trim. All good, and then I've separated off another before takeoff checklist that we'll actually do while we are taxiing out. Ground Viking 1564 requests taxi runway 01 left. Spoilers.
Viking 1564, taxi to runway 01 left via November, Alpha 1.
Taxi runway 01 left via November, Alpha 1, Viking 1564. Let's go. Just release the parking brake. So it's quite light today. So I'm not adding any power there. And the thrust levers, they are idle. So I'm just going to let it build up the speed there. I'll see you in a minute. And we're already at 13 knots. As I say, I've not added any power. Taxi route, straightforward, just down here, make a right. So before takeoff check, so flight controls were checked, brakes checked, and flaps 1, and the ECAM mano is no blue, so we'll do the takeoff check once we are cleared.
Viking 1564, contact tower on 118.3, take care.
1183 for Viking 1564, bye bye. Tower, good afternoon, Viking 1564, holding short runway 01 left, ready for departure. Let's cross the pond tomorrow.
Viking 1564, Oslo Tower, runway 1 left, winds 360 at 3, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 1 left, cleared for takeoff. Viking 1564.
Okay, so we'll just do the lights. Just keep rolling along there. What's the time now? So it is 13:08. It's actually a little bit later than that in the afternoon. Need to get going with this haircut shortly. It's also the classic car night as well. Whichever Friday of the month they put it on, it's today. Right, so we'll just line up 01 left, and then it's going to be ahead. A few sort of left turns to then head south. Okay, take off. Runways confirmed, PACs are to remain on, and TARA. Let's just make sure that TA is in fact TARA. There we go. Take off. Just line her up, line her up. About there. Let's go. All stable. Flex 73, SRS runway, auto thrust is blue.
Welcome to Oslo. Contact ground
100 knots. Wind's just slightly light there, isn't it? As we expected. Still got the hands on the thrust levers.
V1.
And potato bake. Put a brake gear up. Just slowly releasing the pressure on the side stick just to maintain the current pitch there, and we'll go over to the FCP, select autopilot 1. So we've got Flex 73 enunciated and AP1. Should be getting a climb in a moment.
Contact departure on 118.475.
Thrust climb, climb.
Switching to departure on 118.475, Viking 1564.
That's co-pilot just handling that handover. Here's our first left turn. GM436.
Oslo departure.
And we'll
Viking
do
1564. Afternoon. We're
Contact
climbing
0.
past 2000 east.
just going to put the constraints page on.
Viking 1564, Oslo departure identified. Clear direct GM437. Climb flight level 200.
So it's 200.
Direct
Let's just push.
GM437. Climb flight level 200.
That's where we're
Viking
going.
1564.
There's no constraints here, so we'll just remain in climb, managed climb. If there was a constraint, say a level off there at 6,000, I'd just go in an open climb or go eyes down and take the constraint out of the box. Right, so this is explain 12.2.0. It's beta 3 at the moment. But can't quite describe the visual improvements, but yeah, they are stunning. Really nice. I did a video the other day of just some cloud surfing on the way into Manchester. So go and have a look at that. Have a click on the shorts as well. But then come back to this video.
Polaris control on 124.775, Viking 1564.
And it's handy as well having the first officer just manage the comms, because like I say, I'm going to go out, hairdressers, and I'll leave the flight
Viking 1564
in the hands of the first officer.
Climbing past 4,000.
You can hear it now, can't you? That's
200.
not realistic. Real pilots don't go down the hairdressers when they're flying. Really? Thanks for telling me that. I thought they did. You'll be wanting to auto step climb next, won't you, when you're all in your beds? It's so realistic. I want to be able to leave the flight deck at 31,000 feet and come back when it's at 39,000 because it's auto step climb. Without that, it's not realistic, and I'm not going to fly it ever again. Okay, I'm going to leave you in a moment and we'll just do the approach and landing into Palma de Mallorca. One other thing to just encourage you to do, make sure that you're monitoring your progress page. Cruise altitude, optimum, recommended max. You just don't want to be in a position where you say, where you are instructed to climb to flight level, say 390, and you look at your progress page and you find that your maximum is like 350. That's probably more applicable, say, if you're in a plane such as a 321 and you're fully loaded, but don't put yourself in that position. Have a look at this. You want to know what you can accept without going heads down. You know, people out there, the professionals, that just want to know that you've got to be on your game. It's as simple as that. So cruise altitude at the moment, 370, that's what we're going to get. Optimum 390, so we're below that. Ideally we want to be flying around that altitude, but that's okay. The main thing is that we're not going to accept a cruise altitude that is higher than the maximum allowed. Alright, so in this case what I'm thinking of now is we'll get up to 370 and we'll immediately request a climb up to 390, and then we'll just stay at 390, don't intend going any higher.
500. 400. 100 above.
Checked.
300. Minimum
Cinnamons, continue.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30. Retard. 10, 5.
Speed brake, reverse, taste out.
Viking 1564, welcome to Palma. Contact ground on 121.705.
Stow the reverses. Like
Proceed to
that.
ground on 121.705. Viking 1564. Palma ground. Viking 1564. Cleared of runway 24 left. Ready to taxi to the gate. Good evening.
3 hours and 3 minutes.
Viking 1564, Palma ground, taxi to Park 114, Pilpaya, Sierra 2, Mike, Lima Kilo, Lima Juliet, Lima Golf, Lima Foxtrot, Echo. Good evening.
Park 114 Bravo. Via Sierra 2. Mike, Lima Kilo, Lima Juliet, Lima Golf, Lima Foxtrot Echo, Viking 1564.
That was a lot to take in, wasn't it? I thought I died and woken up and I didn't see them. Lima Mike, Lima Kilo, Lima Juliet, and then where? Who knows? That's Lima Kilo. Where's Lima Juliet? And then Lima Golf. Where's Lima Juliet? Thank you for joining me today for our flight from Oslo down to Palma de Mallorca. Hope you enjoyed. If you've got any comments or questions, do drop them in the comments, and I will see you on a future video. In the meantime, please do like, subscribe, take care, bye bye.